Looking for a new roguelike game to play? If the answer is yes, check out my review of Vagante, coming up next on Mumbles. Youch! Hi everyone, Mumbles here. We all know about these roguelike games where basically the object is go through a dungeon, learn, die, rinse, and repeat until you eventually beat the game. Well, in today's episode of Mumbles, I'm bringing you a new one of those. We're reviewing Vagante. Let's get into the description. Description-wise, this game reads, Vagante is an adventure set in a dark fantasy world filled with monsters, demons, and crooks. Despite these dangers, adventurers commonly travel through these unforgiving lands, questing for fame, riches, and power. A recent rumor has it that certain cave at the edge of the woods guards an unfathomable treasure. While a handful of intrepid adventurers have ventured into the cave already, none have returned. Undeterred by the potential danger, you set out by caravan to investigate. Key features: local and online co-op. Adventure cooperatively with up to 4 players either locally or online through Steam. Procedurally generation. With procedurally generated levels, no 2 runs are ever the same, allowing for countless hours of gameplay. Choose how you play. Choose a unique class, skin, and background. Then customize your character further as you play with the choice of unique class skills at each level. Enchanted items. Discover magic items that bestow powerful enchantments and game-changing abilities. Discover secrets. Keep track of unlocked classes, backgrounds, music, and more in the Book of Secrets. Explore a rich world. Explore 4 unique areas, each with their own set of dangers such as monsters, unique bosses, and traps. Tough but fair. Play a game designed for players looking for a challenging but rewarding experience. At the time of this review, this game is available for all major systems, including Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and Nintendo Switch, for a price of $14.99. So that covers the description. We will now move on into my gameplay section. But before I do that, I do have to ask, please subscribe to MumblesVideos, and thank you guys all so much for the support. You're amazing. On to the gameplay section. Moving on into the gameplay section, gameplay-wise, this is one of those games where you're expected to die and die and die and die and die and die again and again until you figure something out or get lucky with some great equipment. It's that simple. This game really does give a different experience each run you take. So it's up to you to use the skills that you've learned with your brain and the equipment that you find in the game in order to create that magical run that you need. Things really do change a lot because this thing is procedurally generated. There is no 2 levels that are the same. Things are always different no matter how many times you run this thing. It's also always different based on the equipment that you find. So one run, you might go really far because you find something amazing. And the next run, you might get some treasure that isn't that great or just doesn't fit your play style. It's all about chance and getting lucky. And as a result, this game has a ton of choices for you to make. There is also a small XP system that allows for you to unlock passive background skills which can give you cool things to start off with. So basically your experience isn't for nothing. For example, if you get enough experience, at one point you can unlock a free level to start with, meaning that your guy will start off slightly leveled up, which is always a big help. And the only thing really that I haven't talked about here is combat, which is kind of what you would expect from a game like this. It's all about being methodical, hitting the enemies at the right point, getting away from the enemies at the right point, making sure you use and maximize the weapon that you have to the best of your abilities, and it's all about that. Unlike some games where it's like, it's about being fast and quick, in this game it's more about being slow and methodical, so you need to keep that in mind as you play this game. But that's basically the game, guys. That is all the features that I could talk about. We are going to now move on to the con section, and the first con is that I will say combat is a bit rough. This game, like I said, it wants you to have slow combat, which is fine in itself, but it just isn't as polished as some games out there combat-wise. Games like Dead Cells, where you can make such precise movements and things like that. This game just felt a little bit duller when it comes to the actual combat of the game, which in a game like this is a little bit disappointing, I have to say. And the second con that I have for this thing is that there's no story at all. Games like this, sometimes they don't have a story, which is fine, but I always am on the side of, building a story up into something like, for example, with the games like Hades, where you know, it was about getting out of hell and this and that. This game, without having a story, it just, you know, it's like, oh, I'm playing this just to play it, which, you know, you could do a little bit more with that in my opinion. So we now move on into my score section. I have to say, this game kind of threw me a little bit. In a game like this, you usually expect for it to have crisp combat and, you know, there to always be one clear, concise winner as far as weapons go. But in this game, there's really not. It's actually the opposite way. The combat, in my opinion, was a little bit stale and wasn't as fun. But the amount of customization and the abilities and all that things that you get and the weapons that you find, there's so many of them that kind of brings the game back up a little bit. With that being said, this game isn't anything we haven't seen before. It's not the greatest roguelike out there or anything. And it really does depend on if you're playing this thing solo or not. You know, if you're playing it with friends, you're probably going to find it a lot more fun than if you're just going through it solo, which is what I did. I played it solo. So, in that regard, I got to be honest with my score here. This game is only going to get a 6 out of 10 from me. It's not a bad game, but it's also not an A-level game in my opinion. But if you like these kind of games, I definitely recommend you check it out. Anyways, guys, this has been my review of Vagante. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Please smack the subscribe button, smack the like button, smack all those buttons. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, everyone. Take care.